Coming up, a Southern Kentucky man was found dead at his home during the weekend. Officials say they believe foul play was involved. And major questions about Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's hospitalization and when the White House learned about it.
Plus, a first alert weather day is in effect as wet and windy weather is on the way. Those details coming up as Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
As we prepare for windy and possibly snowy weather in the next couple of days, WYMT meteorologist Cameron Aaron is tracking the models to give you the first alert. Cameron, what do we know so far?
Well, Olivia, we are tracking some nice weather for this afternoon. So if you have those plans on this Monday afternoon or evening, be sure to enjoy the calm weather because big changes are looming. Here's a live look from Southwest Virginia at UVA-wise. We are tracking some dry, also partly sunny weather. That current temperature 45 degrees over in Wise County. Some of us in the 50s at this hour, though, up to 50 for Clintwood, 52 for Harlan, also Middlesboro, 48 for Manchester, also Somerset at this hour. So not too bad on this Monday afternoon, but notice as we zoom out, we are tracking a mess over the deep south, also the Midwest. Some snowy weather for Missouri, some severe weather in Louisiana. The good news, no severe weather for our region, but some wet and windy weather is on the way. So we do have a wind advisory in place for most of us. That does not include Lawrence County or Wayne County, West Virginia, but even there, some gusty winds are likely. We could see winds up to 40 or 50 miles per hour, and this advisory is through 7 o'clock tomorrow, and possibly a few power outages as those strong winds are likely. So let's go through your forecast this evening. Again, that dry weather will stick around for a few more hours, but that moisture increases mainly after midnight, and some wet and windy weather is on the way. More details on that busy forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Olivia?
Cameron, thank you. A Southern Kentucky man was found dead in his home Saturday, and the sheriff believes he was murdered. 73-year-old Charles Oler was found Saturday in his home off the Cumberland Falls Highway in Corbin. Whitley County Sheriff Bill Elliott says their evidence points to a murder, but police are not commenting on what the evidence is. They say Oler was found about 12:30 Saturday afternoon. Oler is remembered as a local farmer who also served on the local conservation board.
His farming, he was just, he always grew vegetables and had a little stand out there that people would buy corn and vegetables from him. He did that for many years, especially corn. He was basically known as the corn man.
The sheriff says they are also receiving help in the investigation from Corbin police. Police are not releasing the exact cause and manner of death. A state lawmaker is filing a resolution connected to the Capitol riot. Senator Lindsey Titchener says suspects have been, quote, held without due process. According to the Herald Leader, he claims some of those people have not been charged. The Associated Press says police arrested more than 700 people in connection to the riot. All have been charged with crimes. Kentucky's new Attorney General is joining 26 other state attorneys asking the U.S. Supreme Court to hear Trump's petition to overturn the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to block him from its presidential ballot. In a statement, officials with Coleman's office say presidential elections are national contest, and throwing a candidate off Colorado's ballot could dilute Kentuckians' votes at the ballot box. In a release, Coleman said, quote, in this country, the people elect our leaders. That's what it means to live in a democracy. One state's judges have no right to decide a presidential election for all 330 million Americans. This isn't a question of Republican or Democrat. It's a question of letting the voters decide, end quote. Kentucky's primary is slated for May 21st. We are learning new details today about Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's hospitalization at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. He was secretly admitted last week, and for 3 days, even President Biden did not know that Austin was in intensive care. Natalie Brand reports from Washington, D.C.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is said to be recovering well and in good spirits, but both Democrats and Republicans are expressing concern about the lack of transparency surrounding his hospitalization at Walter Reed. The Pentagon says Austin had an elective medical procedure on December 22nd and went home one day later. Then on New Year's Day, Austin started experiencing severe pain and was admitted to the intensive care unit. The next day, Austin transferred certain operational duties to his deputy, Kathleen Hicks, but she was not informed of his hospitalization until January 4th. The White House's chief of staff and national security advisor were not briefed until that day either.
A defense official tells CBS News that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General C.Q. Brown, was informed that Austin was in the hospital on January 2nd. But Brown, who is President Biden's principal military advisor, did not inform the White House.
As questions about the timeline swirl, a White House official confirmed to CBS News the president is not considering firing Austin over the incident. Fellow cabinet members also expressed their support.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing him fully recovered and working side by side in the year ahead.
In a statement, Secretary Austin said, "I take full responsibility for my decisions about disclosure and committed to doing better." Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Secretary Austin has resumed all of his duties. There is no word yet on when he will be released from the hospital. The White House says Mitch Landrieu is stepping down from his role as White House infrastructure coordinator. A campaign official says Landrieu will join the Biden re-election campaign as co-chair. President Biden thanked Landrieu for his leadership and for decades of service to the American people. He first joined the White House as a senior advisor to Biden more than 2 years ago. He was tasked with implementing the bipartisan infrastructure law. President Biden traveled to South Carolina Monday to deliver a speech at the Mother Emanuel Ame Church in Charleston, where 9 black parishioners were killed by a white gunman during Bible study in 2015. The president is ramping up his re-election campaign and focused his remarks on American democracy and political extremism. He denounced the poison of white supremacy in America and called out for former President Trump for his role in the January 6th Capitol riot.
For hours, the defeated former president sat in the private dining room off of the Oval Office and did nothing, absolutely nothing. His actions were among the worst derelictions of duty by any president in American history. Losers are taught to concede when they lose, and he's a loser.
At one point, a group of protesters interrupted President Biden, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. They were eventually drowned out by supporters chanting 4 more years. President Biden says he's been working with the Israeli government to get them to significantly reduce their military presence in Gaza. Coming up as First at 4 continues, officials say artificial intelligence will likely take center stage in Las Vegas this week. We take a look at some of the bots in attendance.
Plus, this weather system will bring some wet and windy weather later tonight, timing out those rain chances after this break.